You are Locked On Warriors Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Bay Area, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors Postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for Murph and Mac on KMBR, and today was not a good day for the Golden State Warriors. They ran into the buzzsaw that is the Boston Celtics and snapped their 8-game road win streak. The Celtics opened up a 44-point lead at halftime. Yes, 44 points, the largest halftime lead in franchise history for the Boston Celtics and the largest halftime deficit in franchise history for the Golden State Warriors. Not a whole lot of good things to take away from this game specifically, but if I told you the Warriors would go 3-1 on this road trip with their only loss coming to the NBA's best team, who's only lost 3 games at home this whole season, I think you'd be okay with that. We'll break it all down. But first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button. Also, thank you for listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed. However you're getting the show, thank you. We appreciate it. And make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. And of course, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment matter more. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. This game started kind of weird for me. I mean, the Warriors tied at 21 in the first quarter, seemingly keeping it pretty close with the Celtics, who just came out shooting the lights out. And the Warriors had a very interesting strategy defensively. They were sagging off of Jalen Brown and daring him to shoot threes. And he proved why that was a bad idea. He led the Celtics in scoring in the first half. He was 5 of 9 from 3 midway through the second quarter. Like, this guy is not the guy to leave open from 3. I'm not sure what they saw in the scouting report or what the hell Draymond was doing. I'll trust Draymond Green on the defensive side of the ball. Every time he makes a choice, there is a reason why he's making that choice. So I assume there was something he and the Warriors saw that led to that choice, but it clearly did not work for the Warriors. I mean, Steph had 2 air balls in the first quarter. He was questionable to even play in this game with knee bursitis, and he had the worst shooting half of his career. He started this game 0 for 9 from 3-point in the first half, and the Celtics ended the first quarter on a 23-1 run. They shot over 50% from the field, over 60% from 3. The Warriors just could not score. The Celtics' first quarter, 44 points, was the most in any quarter for them this season. 10 3-pointers was the most they had in any quarter this season. Assisted on 12 of 16 made field goals, 13 assists to 0 turnovers, most assists without a turnover in a quarter for the Celtics in nearly 20 years. Meanwhile, the Warriors shot 9 for 25 from the floor and 3 for 11 from deep. Shout out 311 and the song Amber. I love that song. And we got to focus on some positive things right now with this Warriors loss. And another interesting thing from that first half run, from 6 minutes in the first quarter to 8 minutes in the second quarter, the Warriors only scored 3 points. This is 10 minutes of play. 3 points, 1 for 13 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. In that same time, the Celtics, 32 points, 11 or 12 of 20 from the field, over 50% shooting, and 6 for 10 from 3, 60% from deep. That's all you really need to know about how this one went for the Warriors. And they had their largest deficit of the season, 56 points at one point. This game is still going on, but as you and I both know, the Warriors are not scoring 50 points in the last minute and 4 seconds. And this one, they're going to pick up another loss on the road this year, but they're much improved. They'll fall to 32-28. They still hold down that 9th seed in the West since the Lakers lost yesterday. And for the Celtics, I mean, you knew this one was personal, man. I mean, after the 2022 championship went the way that it did with the Steph Curry and the night celebration and everything. I mean, the Celtics took that personally, and you saw it tonight. I mean, Jalen Brown even acknowledged in the halftime interview, when he was asked, if he took it personally that they were sacking off of him from three, he kind of said like, yeah, I guess you could say that. But all we really want to do is beat the hell out of the Warriors here on our home court, because he didn't say it in those exact words, but you could feel it. Jalen Brown acknowledged that the Warriors were that they had circled this game on the calendar. The Celtics had circled this game on the calendar, and they wanted to stick it to the Warriors. And you could tell this team was up 40 plus points and just playing lockdown half court defense, turning the Warriors into an isolation basketball team, which is not what they are, not how they win games. You saw Derek White and company just chasing Curry around screens. Steph was not able to get free. He also didn't look as bouncy, as springy. He wasn't cutting the same. He looked injured. And, I'm not going to put a whole lot of stock into this loss. This was a potential measuring stick game. But when you really look at it with the Warriors' travel schedule, the last game of a road trip on the East Coast, especially after that brutal back-to-back between New York and Toronto, where their flight was delayed until damn near 6 in the morning, not getting to sleep in the hotel until like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Like, that's in the morning because of flight delays. That's bad. It's not how anyone's gonna get the ball rolling on a road trip. And you saw, I think, the fatigue catch up with the Warriors tonight. They are a little shorthanded right now. No Brandon Pajemski, so you saw a lot of those minutes go to Lester Quinones, who did not have a good game. And of course, no Andrew Wiggins who is still out dealing with personal issues, which we still will not talk about on this podcast. Shout out Andrew Wiggins. Hope to see you back in a Warriors uni on the court soon. Clay also headed to the locker room right before halftime. He had left hamstring tightness and did not return. Steph did not play in the second half. The Warriors just waved the white flag. I mean, this was bad. 82-38 at halftime. 44-point deficit. As we said at the start of the show, the largest deficit the Warriors have ever faced at halftime in franchise history. The largest lead the Boston Celtics have ever had at franchise history. And that's the Boston Celtics. We're not talking like expansion and Orlando Magic setting franchise records. We're talking about one of the oldest teams in the NBA, the Boston freaking Celtics. When you're breaking franchise records for the Celtics, that's a big deal. You're talking about Bill Russell, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, guys like that. This Jason Tatum team and Jalen Brown tandem is special, man. And they have dudes all up and down this roster. Al Horford, great piece. Derek White, great piece. Peyton Pritchard? When did Peyton Pritchard become like a rock solid, like mini Derek White? Like, I'm not going to say I sit here and watch a ton of Celtics ball because I don't, but Peyton Pritchard, man, oh man, that blows my mind. Like, he wasn't ever really a terrible player, but I did not expect him to turn into like a rock solid, like sixth man option, like first guy off the bench type of dude. And he had a really nice game tonight. So you gotta just shrug this one off. There wasn't a lot going for the Warriors in this one. I do think the Celtics kind of provided a little bit of a blueprint for other teams to beat the Warriors, which we'll get into a little bit later. And that does kind of concern me. And we need to talk about if the Dubs are this flawed or if the Celtics are this good or both. And we'll get to both of those topics a little bit later in the show. This one did go final 140-88. I'll repeat that again. Boston Celtics 140, the Golden State Warriors 88. The Warriors had 17 turnovers in this one. Every single player on the Warriors, plus minus, was a negative. Lester Quinones, negative 37. John Kuminga, negative 30, 6 points. That's it. The only Warriors starter to score in double figures was Moses Moody with 11. He was the only Warrior in double figures in the fourth quarter. And at the end of the game, I guess Quinones and Robinson got some garbage time points to push them over into the double-digit mark as well. Well, you're not going to win games when Klay Thompson finishes with 6 points, Steph Curry finishes with 4 points, and Draymond Green finishes with 6, and John Kuminga finishes with 6. That's 22 points from 4 of your starters, including all-world level player Steph Curry and John Kuminga, who's turned into one of the most dominant forces in the NBA. Coming into tonight, he had 4 or 5 straight games. Every game on this road trip, he had 20-plus points coming into tonight. You can't win them all. You can't win them all. And Jason Tatum was plus 40, man. Oh my God. This was an absolute beatdown, just a shellacking, just an embarrassing loss for the Warriors. But I think this one meant a little more to Boston than it did to the Warriors. The Warriors have proved everything they need to prove. They're multi-time champions, cemented their legacy. This team will go down in history. We'll be talking about this Golden State Warriors squad, maybe not the 2024 version, but this era, the Steve Kerr era of the Golden State Warriors, the Steph Curry era of the Golden State Warriors. We will be talking about this team for as long as basketball is played, I think, in the United States of America. This team is one of the all-time greats, a dynasty, and Boston is kind of trying to build their own version of that. You know, they've been to the finals, they've had deep playoff runs, but they just can't push it over the line. They can't seem to finish the season how every franchise wants to, which is winning a championship. But they frequently dominate the regular season and just, I'm not going to say they choke in the playoffs, but they run into other teams that seem to have their number. There's always something about the Celtics, you know, when they played the Warriors, they just felt like they were a little too young. Their core was, you know, Jason Tatum just turned 26 today. Happy birthday, Jason Tatum. But this was, you know, a very, very young team. Your best player is 24 and you're in the finals. You're usually not going to win that game or that final series. Jason Tatum, an MVP candidate, I think should get more consideration because this team is full of absolute killers, and it's clear that Tatum is the best player on this team. It's Jalen Brown's a nice sidekick, but this is Jason Tatum's team, and he needs more love for the MVP conversation. But we'll let the locked on Celtics guys. Wow, I just can't get words out. Just the same way the Warriors couldn't get buckets into the cylinder tonight. Point being, Warriors just got their butts kicked, man. And sometimes in the NBA, that's just how it's going to go. We got a little bit more to get into on this show. Celtics providing a blueprint to beat the Golden State Warriors. And are the Dubs flawed, or are the Celtics just this good? More on those topics coming at you in just a couple minutes. I am Eric Engel. You're listening to the Locked On Warriors postcast or watching the Locked On Warriors postcast on Locked On Sports Bay Area. And we will be right back. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. That's pretty nice. Bet on all your favorite NBA players like Steph Curry and the rest of your favorite Golden State Warriors. I hope you didn't bet on Steph tonight for that over. Quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we need to discuss whether or not the Celtics have given the rest of the NBA a blueprint to beat the Golden State Warriors. And we've talked about this we've had this conversation how many times throughout the years. And every time that someone comes up with a quote blueprint to beat the Warriors, it seems like the Warriors just keep playing their game better, and whatever you came up with isn't going to work. So is this blueprint able to succeed? So I'll explain. The Celtics turned the Warriors into an isolation basketball team with their intense half-court defense. We already know the Warriors struggle with turnovers. Tonight, 17 turnovers. The Celtics had 10 steals and 5 blocks. That's a lot. And that's something the Warriors are going to continue to struggle with. I mean, we saw like 20-something turnovers against the damn Hornets. I mean, this isn't just something that has been a problem against good teams. This is a problem for the Warriors against every single team they play. What the Celtics did that was unique, it wasn't just forcing turnovers. It wasn't just defending without fouling. It wasn't just forcing the Warriors to take contested jump shots and not letting them get to the paint. The Celtics did 2 really key things in this one. They prevented the Warriors from getting offensive rebounds, and their half-court defense turned them into an isolation basketball team. They did not let the Warriors set all these back picks and run around and make all these, the elevator doors play, moving Steph without the ball, moving Klay without the ball. They chased these guys down, maximum effort from the Celtics on defense. And you just saw them grind the Warriors offense down to the point where they were just jacking up deep threes and throwing up contested shots in the lane. It was not a pretty offensive sequence from the Warriors. I don't think I saw one offensive sequence in this game where I could point to and say that was good basketball by the Warriors in this one. And a lot of that I do think is Steph Curry kind of being hobbled right now. He finished the game 2 of 13 from the field, 0 for 9 from 3 points, did not play in that second half, only 17 minutes. Draymond Green also did not play in the second half. Klay Thompson also did not play in the second half. I can't remember the last time that those 3 players all sat out in the second half for the Warriors. I'd be interested to know when that was. I gotta dig into the stats, and I'll have that info for you guys on the next show, which will come Wednesday after the Warriors play another top team in the East, the Bucks, who have been struggling a little bit with Doc Rivers as the head coach. They're still a really good team. They still got Giannis. They still got Dame Lillard. That team's a problem. But the Warriors will be back at Chase Center, and they'll look to get it right. And hopefully the Bucks weren't watching this one so that they know exactly what the Celtics did to limit the Warriors. But their intensity on the defensive side of the ball, their ability to switch, and this team is pretty athletic, so I'm not going to say you can switch 1 through 5, but they got a lot of really good defenders on this team. Horford, better than advertised defender. Tatum, good defender, has been since he got in the NBA. Jalen Brown, probably one of the best wing defenders in the NBA. He's just a lockdown guy with those long arms. And Holiday, Drew Holiday, playing some of the best basketball of his career, shooting the lights out from 3 this season, and also he's known for his defense. That's his calling card, is how great he plays on the defensive side of the ball. You saw early in this one, the Celtics put Jalen Brown on Steph and did not let him get it going. The Celtics basically said, you want to beat us with anybody but Steph Curry. And they walled off Kuminga while they did it. They sent Jalen Brown at Steph and said, everybody else, your task is do not let Kuminga score. If Draymond Green beats us, that's fine. If Moses Moody beats us, that's also fine. Klay did not really have it tonight. I'm interested to see what happened, if that quad injury is really going to linger, or if Steve Kerr was just coming up with an excuse to get his guy out of the game, because that deficit was insurmountable in the middle of the second quarter. Let's be honest, we could have started this podcast probably after that run in the first quarter. I mean, we all knew what this was going to happen. We all knew what was going to happen with this game. The Warriors' insurmountable lead, or the Celtics' insurmountable lead for the Warriors to overcome. Just too much. The Celtics got to the line 11 times tonight. They shot 49 3-pointers. 49 3-pointers. It sounds like a Warriors number. The Warriors and the Celtics 1 and 2 in the league in 3-point shooting, also 1 and 2 in rebounding. And the Celtics really took it to the Warriors on the boards tonight. Finished a lot closer. The Celtics only won the rebound battle by 5 at the final buzzer, but at halftime they had 10 more rebounds than the Warriors. It was indicative that the Celtics just weren't missing shots, but also that the Warriors couldn't get any rebounds, especially those offensive rebounds from guards that they're so used to getting. And a lot of that does come from Brandon Podziemski, who did not play tonight. And Lester Quinones struggled mightily in this one. He looked out of place. You saw Steph getting mad at him for not coming to help while Steph was getting just absolutely worked in the paint by Jason Tatum, and Quinones rotated late. You saw Steph kind of slam the basketball down and clap at Quinones, like, get it going. Like, we need the intensity. And the Warriors just never really seemed into this game. They seemed sluggish. They seemed a step slow. The rebounding battle was key. So it was a 3-point battle. I figured going into this one, the team that won both of those would win this game. Lo and behold, the Celtics did, and I think they won this one. I don't know. You tell me. 140-88. Celtics win over the Warriors. There's just not a lot that you can say about a loss like this. It happens. You got to move on and turn the page. We've been talking about must-win games a lot on this show. I don't have this one circled as a must-win game. The Celtics, you can afford to lose to a team like that. Even in, say, the Warriors make the finals and they face the Celtics again, it's not it's not the end of the world to lose one game on the road, even if it is by 50 plus to a team that you're playing a 7-game series against. Hypothetically, if the Warriors were in a 7-game series against the Celtics like they were back in 2022, you can afford to lose a game on the road to the NBA's best team. They've only lost 3 games at home all season long. We're not going to push the panic button. We're not going to say that that the Warriors are terrible and they need to switch all these things up. No, they just need to keep doing what they were doing. They need to get Steph healthy. They need to get Clay healthy. They need to get AirPods back in the lineup. He is vital to this team. And hopefully they can get Andrew Wiggins back at full strength as well before the postseason. So overall, no, I don't think the Celtics really provided a blueprint that everybody can do in the NBA, because how many teams have a defensive squad like this? I mean, there are very few teams who boast a Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown combo with a guy like Al Horford and Drew Holiday, those are 4 really solid defenders. I mean, Horford is a little older now. He was much better back in his prime on the defensive side of the ball, but he's not bad. He's not bad at all. And you got Jalen Brown, who's one of the league's best wing defenders and on-ball defenders, and then Jason Tatum, who is just a problem on every aspect of the basketball court. Drew Holiday, known as a lockdown point guard, lockdown perimeter defender against other smaller guys. They can do it all. They have all these different types of specialists to shut down whatever your offensive specialty is. And they're coached really well. Mazzulla has been phenomenal since getting there, despite some criticism he got early in his coaching career. This is a very tough Celtics team. I expect them to be right there. I'm going to say right now, I think this is the Eastern Conference champion. This is the best team I've seen all season long. They're 48-12, 29-3 at home. They're a problem. And the Warriors just didn't have enough to get it done against them tonight on the road after a very long, very tough road trip. Warriors very happy, I'm sure, to get back to San Francisco, rainy San Francisco, super rainy San Francisco, and Chase Center. Hopefully that rain all passes by the time they need to get back on the plane and get here, so they don't have another 8, 9, 10-hour delay at the airport, and they can actually sleep in their own beds at a reasonable time before 7 in the morning or some crazy thing like that. More on the other side, we got to talk about whether or not the Warriors are flawed and they need to make some changes, or whether the Celtics are just this good. If you've been listening, I think you already know what my answer to this question is. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You are listening to Locked On Warriors Postcast on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel or on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed, and we will be right back. Today's episode of Locked On Sports Bay Area is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Demons and Goblins are the newest and most exciting way to play at PrizePicks. Squares marked with red demons or green goblins get you different payouts. You can now win up to 100 times your money. That's right, 100 times your money with as little as 4 picks correct. PrizePicks is really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. I actually got my picks in about 60 seconds before the tip in this one today. Kind of wish I hadn't, because, I went with John Kuminga more than 16.5 points. Obviously, that did not happen. So I also went with Emmanuel Quickly of the Raptors, more than 21.5 points. But since we did not hit on that John Kuminga more than 16.5 points, that doesn't really matter. But you still have a chance to win today. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That's right. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. It's PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to Locked On Warriors Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we got to talk about whether or not the Warriors are really this flawed that they can't even get within 50 of a championship contender, a legit championship contender, or if the Celtics are just really this good. And one thing that we've neglected to mention today is the Celtics did this without Porzingis on the court, who has kind of been like the difference in this team this season. He's really given them an added dimension, some length inside. Horford is not the tallest interior defender. But Porzingis did not play in this one, and it did not matter. And that's kind of scary, man. The Celtics are this good when they are motivated, when they have a chip on their shoulder, when it's personal for them, as Deion Sanders says, personal. This team just is scary, man. I think this is unquestioned the best team in the NBA. They've been playing like it all season long, and I don't expect them to hold up in the playoffs at all. I expect this team to keep rolling. Last time they were in the finals, the excuses were they're too young, they don't have this playoff experience. They do now. And with guys like Porzingis, veteran, who's, had some battles throughout his career, Al Horford, who, battled against LeBron with those Hawks teams that were really good back, 10, 15 years ago. And these teams are, this Celtics team is bar none the best in the NBA, flat out, top to bottom. These dudes are everywhere, and they got a bunch of dudes who are not super household names, Peyton Pritchard, Xavier Tillman, Hauser, all these guys coming off the bench. Most casual NBA fans, I won't even say casual NBA fans, but most West Coast basketball fans probably don't know who these guys are. I had to look up a few of them coming into tonight, and let me tell you, you should get to know them, because if I had to put money down on it right now, I'm probably taking the Celtics as my 2024 NBA Finals champion. And I hope the Warriors prove me wrong. I really do. But they got a long way to go if they want to be able to beat a team like the Celtics. And they aren't even at full strength. I don't think the Warriors are as flawed as they looked tonight, but I do think that the Celtics are every bit as good as they look tonight. They can do this any given night, and that's terrifying. This team is stacked. They are so solid. They are coached so well. They play with so much intensity, especially at TD Garden in Boston. This is going to be a very, very, very tough out, especially since they're going to have predictably home court advantage throughout all of the playoffs. I don't know how any team is going to win 4 games when you got a best of 7 and you're playing 4 of them in Boston. I just don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know how you win more than I think someone's going to have to win 2 games on the road to beat this Celtics team. I don't think the Celtics are just not going to be able to win on the road when they're in the playoffs. And I don't see anybody beating this team twice at home in the postseason. So I do think the Celtics are every bit as good as advertised, probably a little bit better. I think people are sleeping on Jason Tatum, if that's even possible. He should be getting far more love for the MVP. And when you don't have a superhuman effort from Steph Curry, this Warriors team is flawed. They need somebody else to step up. They're not losing by 50 points flawed. Okay, let's get that clear. They are better than they showed tonight, but they're going to need to make some adjustments. Part of it's getting healthy, but some of these things are predictable things that were happening. You saw Chris Paul telegraphing some passes off of pick and rolls. Curry airballed 2 shots in the first quarter. And it could just be as simple as getting guys healthy. This is a long road trip. Guys are beat up. Nobody is healthy at this point in the NBA season. Everybody's dealing with something. And it's been clear, like Steph's been airballing shots lately, and that's been a concern. But I think that it's, Steph Wardell Curry, and he's going to figure it out like he always does. The thing that the Warriors really need to figure out going forward is who can be that. We've talked about this so many times. Who can be the Robin to Steph Curry's Batman consistently? And John Kuminga looks like that guy. Tonight was not what you wanted to see. You wanted to see more effort from him. You wanted to see, some signs of life, and you just didn't see any of that from anyone on this Warriors team. Kuminga, 20 minutes, 2 for 9 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, 6 points, minus 30. Not good, man. Not good. The Warriors will look to right the ship Wednesday against the Bucks back at Chase Center. Hopefully Steph's healthy for that one. Hopefully Clay's healthy for that one. I'll be looking out for updates from Coach Kerr. But aside from that, you kind of got to just throw your hands up in the air and say, next game. Or as one of my favorite guys in the world, Brian Murphy says, next pitch. That's about all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for sticking with us. If you stuck through this whole thing, you are a trooper. And thank you for tuning into the Locked On Warriors postcast and the Locked On Warriors, the Locked On Warriors postcast on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel and on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we'll come at you next time live after Warriors Bucks goes final on Wednesday, 7 p.m. tip back at Chase Center in the friendly confines for that one. Thanks for sticking with us. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.